I always thought my marriage was unbreakable. For 7 years, Amanda and I built what I believed was a rock-solid foundation of love and trust. We met in college, had a beautiful wedding, and created the life I had always dreamed of. But lately, something felt off. Her late work nights, the password changes, the way she guarded her phone. Then came that text message I was never meant to see. While I gather my thoughts to tell you how my perfect marriage shattered overnight, let me know where you are watching from and hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you will want to hear what happened next. My name is Jose, a 5-year-old software engineer living in Boston. I met Amanda during our junior year in college when we were paired together for a group project in our marketing class. There was an immediate connection between us, and after a few study sessions that had very little studying happening, I finally asked her out. Our first date was at a small Italian restaurant near campus, where we talked until the staff started cleaning up around us. 3 years later, after graduation and settling into our careers, I proposed during a weekend trip to Cape Cod. Our wedding was everything we had hoped for, intimate yet meaningful, with our closest friends and family. Amanda looked stunning in her dress, and when she said "I do," I truly believed it would be forever. After the wedding, we rented a small apartment while saving for our dream home. We both worked hard. Me climbing the ladder at a tech company, her building her career at a prestigious marketing firm. 4 years into our marriage, we finally had enough for a down payment on a beautiful colonial-style house in a quiet suburb of Boston. Our life together seemed perfect on the surface. We had good jobs that paid well, a lovely home. We were slowly making our own supportive friends who would come over for dinner parties and families who adored us. We had even started discussing having children, agreeing that we wanted to achieve certain financial milestones first to provide the best life possible for our future kids. I first noticed the changes about 6 months ago. Amanda joined a new gym and completely overhauled her wardrobe, trading her casual style for more sophisticated, expensive clothes. She started wearing more makeup and changed her hairstyle. While I supported her desire to look and feel good, something about the suddenness of these changes made me uneasy. Then came the late nights at work. Her marketing firm had apparently landed a big client, requiring extra hours and weekend work. At first, I did not think much of it, being used to occasional crunch time in my own industry. But when the late nights became the norm, rather than the exception, I started wondering. The most concerning change was how guarded she became with her phone and laptop. Amanda, who once left her devices lying around without a second thought, now took her phone with her everywhere, even to the bathroom. She changed all her passwords and would angle her screen away when I walked by. Whenever I entered the room while she was texting, she would quickly put her phone down or switch apps. Our physical and emotional intimacy also took a hit. Amanda, who had always been affectionate, now seemed to avoid my touch. Our conversations became superficial, focused on household logistics rather than our feelings or dreams. When I tried to discuss these changes, she dismissed my concerns as paranoia or blamed work stress. My best friend Taylor noticed something was off during one of our monthly basketball games. "You seem distracted, man," he commented as we took a break courtside. "Everything okay with you and Amanda?" I confided my concerns, and while Taylor tried to reassure me, I could tell by his expression that he thought something might be wrong too. "Just talk to her," he advised. "Communication solves most problems." I took his advice and tried to have a heart-to-heart with Amanda that weekend. She became defensive immediately. "Are you tracking my movements now?" she snapped when I mentioned the late nights. "I am working my ass off for our future, and this is the thanks." I get. Suspicion. The incident that truly set everything in motion happened 3 weeks ago. I had planned a weekend trip to visit my parents, something we did every few months. My mom was celebrating her 60th birthday, and the whole family would be there. 2 days before we were supposed to leave, Amanda told me she could not make it. "I am so sorry, Jose, but this new project just landed, and my boss needs all hands on deck this weekend," she explained, looking genuinely disappointed. "You should still go, though. Give your mom my love and tell her I will make it up to her." I was disappointed but understood career obligations. I told her I would go alone, but then my own work threw a curveball my way. A major system issue needed immediate attention, forcing me to cancel my trip entirely. I called my parents to explain, and promised to visit the following weekend instead. That Friday, I managed to resolve the issue faster than expected and decided to leave work early to surprise Amanda. I thought maybe we could still salvage part of the weekend together, since neither of us would be going to my parents' now. I stopped by her favorite bakery and picked up some chocolate croissants, her favorite treat. When I arrived home around 3 p.m., I was surprised to find her car in the driveway. I entered quietly, thinking she might be on a work call. I heard movement upstairs and headed up excited to surprise her. What I saw stopped me in my tracks. Amanda was in our bedroom, not in her usual work attire, but dressed in an outfit I had never seen before. A tight black dress, heels, and more makeup than she typically wore to the office. "Jose?" she exclaimed, clearly startled. "What are you doing home so early?" I fixed the issue at work and thought we could spend some time together since neither of us is going to my parents' now. I replied, confused. "Are you going somewhere? I thought you had to work." "Oh, right. Yes, but there is a team happy hour first. Big client celebration, you know how it is," she said, applying lipstick without meeting my eyes in the mirror. Something about her explanation did not sit right. "At 3 p.m. on a Friday. And you are dressed like that for a work event. It is at a nice place downtown. Plus my boss will be there. I need to make a good impression," she replied defensively. We argued for nearly half an hour, going in circles, as her explanations became increasingly convoluted. Finally, clearly frustrated, she grabbed her purse and headed for the door. "You know what, Jose? You are lucky to have me," she said coldly. "You would never leave me anyway." Those words hit me like a physical blow. It was not just what she said, but the dismissive tone, the absolute certainty in her voice. In that moment, I realized she did not respect me at all. She thought I was too weak, too dependent, or too in love to ever stand up for myself, regardless of how she treated me. As she walked out the door, her words echoed in my head. "You would never leave me anyway." Little did she know how wrong she was. I spent that night tossing and turning, unable to sleep, as Amanda's words played on repeat in my mind. The disrespect in her tone, the certainty that I was somehow trapped in this relationship regardless of her actions, cut deeper than any suspicion of infidelity. By morning, I had made a decision that would change everything. I would follow her today and confirm my suspicions once and for all. Amanda woke up acting as if our argument never happened. She made coffee, scrolled through her phone, and then announced she needed to go into the office again for that big project. I pretended to be absorbed in a book while watching her get ready. She put even more effort into her appearance than yesterday, selecting a different dress that was equally inappropriate for a day at the marketing office. "I might be late again," she said casually as she grabbed her keys. "Do not wait up." I waited 10 minutes after she left before grabbing my own keys. I had never followed anyone before, and felt ridiculous doing it now, like I was playing detective in some bad movie. But the knot in my stomach told me this was necessary. I stayed several cars behind her as she drove not toward her office downtown, but to the Grand Meridian Hotel on the other side of the city. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white as I watched her pull into the valet parking. I parked across the street in a public lot and waited, heart pounding. 20 minutes later, a black Mercedes pulled up and a man stepped out. Even from a distance, I recognized Kevin, Amanda's boss. He was in his mid-40s, tall, with salt and pepper hair, dressed in an expensive suit. I had met him a few times at company events, always with his wife by his side. I pulled out my phone and started taking photos, my hands shaking with anger and hurt. I zoomed in as Amanda approached him in the lobby. Their greeting was not professional. He kissed her, not a friendly peck on the cheek, but full on the lips, his hand lingering on her lower back in a way that made me nauseous. They spoke briefly before heading to the reception desk together, checking in as if it was the most natural thing in the world. When they entered the elevator, holding hands and looking at each other in a way that left no doubt about their intentions, I finally let the tears come. 7 years of marriage, all our plans and promises reduced to this moment of utter betrayal. I sat in my car for nearly an hour, cycling through shock, denial, rage, and profound sadness. Finally, I called Taylor. "She is cheating on me," I said when he answered, my voice breaking. I just watched her check into a hotel with her boss. "Jesus, Jose, I am so sorry," he said after a moment of stunned silence. Where are you? Do you need me to come get you? I am still at the hotel, I admitted, realizing I was having trouble breathing. I think I am having a panic attack. Listen to me, Taylor said firmly. Take deep breaths. I am coming to get you right now. Text me the address. Do not confront them. Okay. Just sit tight. While waiting for Taylor, memories of our wedding day flooded back. Amanda in her white dress, tears in her eyes as she promised to love and cherish me forever. The future we had planned together, children growing old side by side. All of it now tainted by her betrayal. By the time Taylor arrived, I had moved from shock to a cold, determined anger. He drove me back to my house offering to stay, but I needed to be alone. I needed to know exactly what I was dealing with. Once home, I began searching for evidence, something I had never imagined doing in my own marriage. In Amanda's desk drawer, hidden beneath some documents, I found hotel receipts dating back 6 months. The same hotel roughly twice a month, always on days she claimed to be working late. In the back of her closet was a shoebox containing statements from a credit card I did not know existed. Dinners at expensive restaurants, jewelry purchases, weekend getaways to nearby coastal towns, all while I believed she was advancing her career through hard work and dedication. The final piece of evidence came when I checked her gym bag, finding a second phone tucked into an inner pocket. I turned it on, discovering no password protection, perhaps because she never imagined I would find it. The messages between her and Kevin were explicit, detailing not just their physical affair, but their emotional one as well. They had been seeing each other for over 6 months, and worse, they had discussed a future together. What shocked me most were the messages about me. He suspects nothing Amanda had written just 3 days ago. Jose is too trusting. Sometimes I feel bad about it. Kevin's response made my blood boil. Do not feel guilty. We deserve happiness. Besides, from what you have told me, he would forgive you anyway if he found out. He needs you more than you need him. Their conversation revealed they had even discussed her leaving me eventually, but Kevin, still building his courage to leave his wife and children, had asked her to wait. Amanda agreed, writing, I can manage Jose in the meantime. He would never leave me no matter what. I sat on our bedroom floor, surrounded by evidence of her betrayal, realizing the woman I loved had become a stranger to me. This calculated deception went beyond a momentary lapse in judgment. This was months of lies, disrespect, and manipulation. Amanda returned home around 11 that night. I had put away all the evidence except the second phone, which I placed on the kitchen counter where she would immediately see it. When she walked in, her hair slightly disheveled and wearing the same dress from earlier, she froze upon seeing me sitting calmly at the kitchen table. You are still up, she said, forcing a smile. How was your day, educational? I replied, sliding the phone across the counter toward her. I learned a lot about my wife and her boss today. The color drained from her face. Jose, I can explain. Save it. I interrupted. I followed you to the hotel today. I saw you with Kevin. I found the receipts, the credit card statements, everything. Her denial crumbled, instantly replaced by defensive anger. This would not have happened if you paid more attention to me. You are always working, always distracted with your projects and games. I laughed bitterly. Do not try to blame me for your choices, Amanda. You could have talked to me if you were unhappy. You chose to lie instead. You chose to betray me with a married man who has children. Kevin understands me in ways you never did. She shot back, her voice rising. He challenges me. He makes me feel alive. You never could. Each word was like a knife, but I remained outwardly calm, refusing to give her the satisfaction of seeing me break. You should have just asked for a divorce if you were that unhappy. Her expression shifted, then softening into something almost pitying. I was not going to leave you, Jose. I know how much you need me, how much you love me. She reached out to touch my arm, and I recoiled. We can work through this. You will forgive me because that is who you are. You will never leave me. There was that phrase again, spoken with such absolute certainty. In that moment, whatever love remained shattered completely. She did not just betray me. She fundamentally disrespected me, believed me too weak to stand up for myself. We will see about that, I said quietly, standing up and walking past her toward the stairs. What does that mean? She called after me, a note of uncertainty in her voice for the first time. I did not answer. I had already decided what needed to happen next. That night, lying in our guest bedroom while Amanda presumably worried in our marriage bed, I did not sleep a single minute. Instead, I planned. By morning, I had a clear strategy for how to proceed. This was no longer about emotional reactions, but calculated decisions to protect myself and my future. First thing Monday morning, I called in sick to work for the first time in years and made an appointment with Barbara Thompson, a divorce attorney my colleague had used the previous year. He had mentioned she was tough, but fair, exactly what I needed now. I gathered all the evidence I had collected, photos, receipts, messages, and organized them methodically. Barbara's office was in a sleek downtown building with views of the harbor. She was a sharp-dressed woman in her 50s with a no-nonsense attitude that immediately put me at ease. Tell me everything, she said after introductions, and do not leave anything out. The more I know, the better I can protect you. For the next hour, I detailed my marriage, the signs I had missed, and the evidence I had gathered. Barbara took notes, occasionally asking clarifying questions. When I finished, she looked at me with genuine sympathy. You have done well gathering evidence, Jose. Many clients come to me with suspicions but no proof. This gives us leverage. She proceeded to explain divorce laws in Massachusetts, how the process would work, and what I could expect given Amanda's infidelity. What do I do next? I asked when she finished. First, secure your finances, she advised. Open a separate account at a different bank. Do not clean out joint accounts that could look vindictive to a judge, but ensure you have access to funds that are yours alone. Collect all important documents, birth certificates, property deeds, car titles, insurance policies, tax returns, investment statements. Make copies and store them somewhere safe, not in your home. I followed her advice to the letter. That same day, I visited a new bank, opened an individual account, and transferred a reasonable portion of my personal savings. I rented a small safety deposit box where I stored copies of all our important documents after scanning them. I made a detailed inventory of our possessions, focusing on items of significant monetary or sentimental value. Throughout this process, I maintained my composure by treating it like a project at work, breaking it down into manageable tasks, and executing them methodically. The analytical approach helped me avoid sinking into despair, giving me purpose and direction when I most needed it. Building a support system became my next priority. That evening, I met Taylor at a quiet bar, far from our usual haunts. I am filing for divorce, I told him, without preamble. Good, he said firmly. You deserve better than this, Jose. What can I do to help? His immediate support meant everything. I might need a place to stay temporarily, I admitted. I cannot be in that house with her while this plays out. My spare room is yours for as long as you need, he assured me. The next day, I made the difficult call to my parents. My mother cried when I explained the situation, more from anger at Amanda than sadness. Come home for a while, she urged. You should not be alone right now. I am not alone, Mom, I told her. I have good friends here, and I need to stay close to handle the legal matters. My father, usually reserved with emotions, surprised me with his openness. I am proud of you for standing up for yourself, son. Too many people stay in bad situations because they fear change. Whatever you need, we are here. Following Barbara's recommendation, I also scheduled an appointment with a therapist specializing in betrayal trauma. Dr. Marshall helped me navigate the roller coaster of emotions, providing strategies to maintain my mental health through the divorce process. While building these external supports, I maintained normal appearances at home. I returned to work, engaged in surface-level conversations with Amanda, and gave no indication of my plans. She seemed to interpret this as a sign I was processing things and would eventually forgive her, just as she had predicted. After our confrontation, Amanda had ended things with Kevin, or so she claimed. She deleted the second phone number and offered to give me complete access to her primary phone and email. She suggested couples therapy, planned romantic dinners, and bought me thoughtful gifts. On the surface, she was doing everything right to save our marriage. 2 weeks into this charade, she began to show signs of irritation at my continued emotional distance. How long are you going to punish me? She demanded one evening. I said I was sorry. I ended things with Kevin. What more do you want from me? I am just processing everything, I replied calmly. These things take time. She softened immediately. I know, and I am grateful you are willing to try. Many men would have left by now. Would they? I asked, raising an eyebrow. But not you, she said, missing my sarcasm entirely. You understand that marriages have rough patches. You know we have too much history to throw away. Her confidence in my inability to leave continued to fuel my determination. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, everything was falling into place. Barbara had prepared the divorce papers, I had secured an apartment starting the following month, and my separate finances were established. The final phase of my plan came when Amanda suggested we have dinner at Giovanni's, the Italian restaurant, where we had celebrated our anniversary every year. We need to reconnect, she insisted. Remind ourselves of the good times. I agreed, seeing the perfect opportunity. On Friday night, we drove separately to the restaurant, as I had claimed I needed to work late. In reality, I had met with Barbara to review and sign the final divorce papers, which now sat in an envelope in my jacket pocket. Giovanni's was elegant as always, with soft lighting, white tablecloths, and the gentle notes of a piano in the background. Amanda had dressed beautifully and was on her best behavior, reminiscing about our happier days and making plans for our future. We should plan that trip to Italy we always talked about, she suggested over appetizers. Maybe for our 8th anniversary, I nodded non-committally, waiting for the right moment. It came when she reached across the table and took my hand. See, I knew we would be okay. I knew you would never leave me. You are too loyal, too good. Excuse me for a moment, I said, standing up. I need to use the restroom. Instead of heading to the restroom, I approached our waiter Antonio, who had served us for years and knew us well. I handed him the envelope along with a generous tip. Could you please deliver this to our table in about 5 minutes, I asked. It is important. Of course, Mr. Ramirez, he replied with a nod. I positioned myself at the bar where I could observe our table without being immediately visible to Amanda. 5 minutes later, as promised, Antonio delivered the envelope. I watched as confusion crossed Amanda's face, followed by curiosity as she opened it. The moment she realized what she was holding, divorce papers with my signature already in place, her expression transformed from confusion to shock to anger. She looked around wildly, finally spotting me at the bar. I walked back to the table, calmly sitting down across from her. What the hell is this? She demanded, her voice shaking. Divorce papers, I replied evenly. I have already signed them. This is not funny, Jose. It is not meant to be. I met her gaze steadily. You were right about one thing. I am loyal. Just not to people who betray me. The scene that followed in Giovanni's was not my proudest moment, but it was certainly memorable. Amanda's composure shattered completely as she vacillated between begging, threatening, and crying loudly enough to turn heads throughout the restaurant. I remained calm, placed enough cash on the table to cover our bill with a generous tip for Antonio's troubles, and walked out while she continued to create a scene. You cannot just leave me here, she shouted, following me to the parking lot. I think we both know I can, I replied, getting into my car. I suggest you call an Uber. We can discuss logistics once you have calmed down. I drove straight to Taylor's apartment, where I had already moved essential belongings earlier that week while Amanda was at work. When I turned my phone back on an hour later, I had 17 missed calls and 32 text messages ranging from apologetic to venomous. I turned the phone off again and slept better than I had in months. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of chaos and paperwork. Amanda refused to accept the divorce, initially telling our friends I was overreacting to a minor indiscretion. She showed up at my workplace, caused a scene at Taylor's apartment building, and even called my parents to plead her case. None of it worked. Barbara had warned me to expect this and advised me to document every instance of harassment for potential use in court if necessary. The most satisfying moment came when Kevin's wife discovered the affair. Apparently, Amanda, in her desperation, had reached out to him for support. His wife saw the messages and confronted him. Kevin, choosing to save his own marriage, promptly threw Amanda under the bus, claiming she had pursued him relentlessly, and he had ended things once he came to his senses. When Amanda called me in tears about his betrayal, I could not help but appreciate the irony. Now you know how it feels, I told her before hanging up. The divorce process itself was surprisingly straightforward, given the clear evidence of infidelity. Amanda eventually realized fighting would only drag things out and potentially reveal more details she would rather keep private. We settled without going to court, dividing assets equitably with me, keeping the house after buying out her share. Despite the relative legal ease emotionally, I hit rock bottom about 2 months after moving out. The adrenaline of taking action had worn off, leaving me to truly process the end of my marriage and the betrayal that caused it. I would wake up at 3 a.m., replaying moments from our relationship, wondering if any of it had been real or if I had imagined the happiness we once shared. Dr. Marshall, my therapist, helped me understand these feelings were normal. You are grieving not just the end of your marriage, but the future you had planned, and the person you thought you knew, she explained. Give yourself permission to feel that grief, without letting it define you. I took her advice, allowing myself to experience the pain rather than suppressing it. I started journaling, pouring my thoughts onto paper when they became too overwhelming to contain. I joined a support group for people going through divorce, finding solace in shared experiences and the knowledge that I was not alone. Slowly, I began rebuilding. I threw myself into work, earning a promotion that had been in the pipeline before the divorce. I reconnected with friends who had drifted away during my marriage, people Amanda had never quite clicked with. I rediscovered old hobbies, photography, hiking, playing guitar, activities I had gradually abandoned to accommodate our shared interests. My relationship with my family grew stronger through the ordeal. My parents visited more frequently, and I made more trips home, appreciating their unwavering support in a way I never had before. My sister, who had always been cautiously polite around Amanda, admitted she had sensed something off about her, but had kept quiet for my sake. Next time I will speak up, she promised. That is what family does. 6 months after moving out, I finally felt ready to find my own place again. The apartment I chose was nothing like the house Amanda and I had shared. It was a modern loft downtown, with exposed brick walls and large windows, a complete departure from our suburban colonial. Furnishing it became a form of therapy, selecting each piece with intention, creating a space that reflected who I was now, not who I had been in my marriage. The final divorce decree came through exactly 1 year after I discovered Amanda's affair. To mark the occasion, Taylor and a few close friends took me out to celebrate what they called my Freedom Day. We went to a baseball game, ate too many hot dogs, and laughed more than I had in years. That night, looking around at these people who had stood by me through the darkest period of my life, I felt genuine happiness, for the first time since everything fell apart. It was 3 months after the divorce was finalized that I ran into Amanda unexpectedly at a coffee shop downtown. She looked different, thinner, with shorter hair and less makeup than she had worn during our marriage. When she spotted me, she hesitated before approaching my table. "Jose," she said quietly, "you look well." "Thank you," I replied, surprised by my lack of emotional response. No anger, no hurt, just a vague curiosity about this person who had once been the center of my world. She asked if she could sit for a moment, and I nodded more out of politeness than desire for conversation. We exchanged brief updates. She had moved to a smaller firm, I had been promoted. After a few minutes of awkward small talk, she got to the point. "I made the biggest mistake of my life," she said, eyes welling with tears. "I miss you every day. I miss us. I know I do not deserve another chance, but I want you to know how sorry I am, how much I regret what I did. A year earlier, those words might have affected me. Now I simply felt sorry for her. I forgive you, Amanda," I said honestly. "Not for you, but for me. I needed to let go of that anger to move forward." Hope flickered in her eyes. "Does that mean—" "No," I interrupted gently. "I forgive you, but that chapter of our lives is closed. I wish you well. Truly I do. But we are not going to get back together." She nodded, wiping away tears. "I understand. I just wanted you to know I am sorry." As she stood to leave, she added, "You proved me wrong, you know. When I said you would never leave me. You were stronger than I gave you credit for." "I was always strong," I corrected her. "I just chose to be kind. There is a difference." As I watched her walk away, I realized the greatest lesson from this painful chapter: the importance of self-respect. I had confused loyalty with allowing myself to be disrespected, mistaken forgiveness for accepting unacceptable behavior. True loyalty begins with being loyal to your own values and boundaries. The experience changed me in countless ways. I learned to trust my instincts when something feels wrong. I became more attentive to red flags I might have previously dismissed. I discovered reserves of strength I never knew I possessed. Most importantly, I learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself, and ultimately for others, is to walk away when someone takes your loyalty for granted. Today, I am cautiously dating again. I am more careful now, more aware of the warning signs, but also more appreciative of genuine connection when I find it. The pain of betrayal has not made me cynical about love, merely more discerning about who deserves my trust. If you have ever been betrayed by someone you loved, know that the pain does eventually subside. The scar remains a reminder of what you survived, but it does not have to limit your capacity for happiness or your ability to trust again. Sometimes the most unexpected challenges lead to the greatest growth. Have you ever had to make the difficult choice to walk away from someone who took you for granted? Let me know in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like and subscribe for more real-life experiences. Share it with someone who might need to hear that standing up for themselves is not just possible, but necessary. Thank you for listening to my journey. And remember, true loyalty begins with being loyal to yourself.